Well, as we get into the closing stages of this havoc, trust the girls to upstage the boys. Catherine Legg with this magnificent effort to impress our havoc judges. All that, and guess what? Catherine hops out, kicks her leg over and walks away.
And his next target will be Keane, ahead of him in the white and blue machine. Question is, who's going to have their thumb on the boost here? Because look at that, Simonson is going for it down the inside, contact! And it's always bad news when somebody touches another car at Eau Rouge, and off into the barriers has gone Tim Mullen, very hard indeed. The car is ablaze and absolutely wrecked. As we see it from Tim Mullen's viewpoint, is that he gets out of this uninjured. Simonson goes down the inside line.
But immediately the Petrobras junior cars jump away. All right, they have counted the first lap then as a racing lap. Off has got Mark Webber. That is Webber heavily off into the barriers. A very big shunt indeed. Eau Rouge for the very first time. And the championship is over surely. Webber out of the car and unharmed.
Fisichella had a massive shunt at Eau Rouge. He had a good start after his 10th-place penalty, but lost it at the fastest part of the track. He's fine, but his race is well and truly over.
David Epsom's advantage, a big one, and there there's a moment that Daniel Tapinov's losing him, and Johnny Veracos is hitting him. Oh dear, look at that! A huge accident at the top of Eau Rouge. Johnny Veracos tried to go around the outside of Daniel Tapinov. The car glanced, lost a wheel, off into the barrier. And this is Daniel Tapinov onto the curb, just misses Tony Brewer's car. He spins, but as the car goes back across the road, there is Johnny Veracos, who is hit by it. Nothing Veracos could do about that, and the car, at virtually unabated speed, ploughs off into the barrier, and it spins like a top. It sheds wheels, it sheds bodywork, it sheds suspension components, but Johnny Veracos is absolutely fine. He's a bit shaken, but he's perfectly okay.
So he really might have an advantage here, but of course Kennard with a chance. Oh! Ricardo Tercero has gone off heavily at Eau Rouge, and that's a big shunt. The Angolan driver seems to be okay, at least he's bailing out, as you would do facing Doink, the opposition.
And there we've got a replay, but he's already lost the car to Sarah when he comes into shot, and I suspect he lost the car in the standing water down in the bottom of the dip there, but we saw him get out of the car, and safety car comes out to clear up that mess.
During this morning's qualifying session, Amani Ibrahim lost his car in a very big way, had a huge accident at Eau Rouge. Surtees next on the scene could not avoid the carnage, and both cars badly damaged. Amani Ibrahim's car will not start this afternoon's race. Surtees, well, just 5 minutes ago, the team was still fixing wings and slicks onto the car in the hope of getting it ready to leave the pit lane. Now, not quite sure whether he made it onto the grid or if he is still in the pit lane. During the last couple of weeks, there's been a few clips up on YouTube of Lima's shunt at Eau Rouge, or exiting Eau Rouge at Spa from the grandstand on the inside, I suppose, driver's left, just sort of looking at the corner, and he basically comes through, takes off and just goes straight into the barrier. I mean, we saw the evidence in the end. It just tore the car in half. The engine, transmission, everything were in one place, and the rest of the tub and the driver in the other. And to survive that without any injuries is testament to the strength of these GP2 cars. Struggling here in these wet conditions, as he did in the dry at Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, goodness me!
Not a place to cut to on board, was it? My goodness me, Sven Muller off in the barriers. And that, again, is a car that stepped out in Eau Rouge. It's really knocked the wind out of his sails. Medical car is there. Well, let's ride on board with him into Eau Rouge. As you can see, a lot wetter now. And a big ball of spray in front. Oh, and goodness, touches the curbs and off on the driver's left up the hill. That's a big impact, but he's looking around immediately.
At least Guido looked.
Okay, so here's a replay then of the crack. Malco, oh.
Big crash. That's a big crash.
We're hearing that he is conscious in the ambulance, which is good news. Of course, we saw him trying to get himself out of the car.
И как раз один из обладателей wildcard, Грегор Рэмси, также покидает свою машину. И, судя по всему, может быть, он сейчас испытывает какие-то боли, потому что его сейчас просят остаться в машине, видимо. Сейчас гонка у нас остановлена. Я думаю, что понадобится какое-то время, чтобы восстановить отбойник. Нам показывают повтор, но, видимо, камеру чуть позже перевели туда. И здесь уже машины летели, поэтому, по крайней мере, с этой камеры не было видно начала инцидента и как здесь все началось. Но рискну предположить, что просто оба гонщика...
Incident, so I suspect De Jong is going to sweep in and just take the front wing of the car behind him. And then it was strange. It was actually later. Maybe he had an instant puncture from the front wing. Let's see it again. Yeah, just sweeps in.
My word. Yeah,
and he's got left rear damage.
Gone. Yeah, left rear's gone.
Yeah, so he grabs himself an instant puncture from the front wing end plate of the car behind.
There is the puncture for Chekon that sent him, and you see, oh, we've got a car off there, car off the road at Eau Rouge, and a big one for Jan Mardenborough. And so Mardenborough is just going to get a swap on, and nothing he can do, straight to the scene of the accident, clearly catching him by surprise. We've seen him have moments already this weekend, but that is an enormous accident. This is in full speed, so this is at racing speed. And you can see no reaction time at all. We'd seen Mardenborough get swapped on earlier in Eau Rouge, but heading into Raidillon, any sort of moment at all, there just isn't enough time to react.
Sergio Perez recovering up to fifth. And there's someone gone into the tyre barrier on the exit of Raidillon, and it is the Renault of Kevin Magnussen that has gone straight into the tyre barrier. Let's just have a look as he reaches the top. Whoa, and how is it, Martin, there, that and he's gone in rearwards and spun round, but look at the bodywork that flies off.
Yeah, the head restraint's gone. Wasn't there to do its job, was it?
There we have, oh, that's the most important thing. Slobin is out of the absolutely destroyed car. He gives the thumbs up to the crowd and walks away.
Huge crash in Eau Rouge that will surely bring out the safety car, Matsushita. Oh, so good to see him climbing out of the car, but there's very little left of that ART.
Did you saw him? He was so close.
Yeah,
sometimes you lose the downforce and the steering wheel.
Oh, look at that. Just losing the rear of the car.
Wow, he was flying to go out. Really well done for Matsushita.
Well, it's good that he went side in. I'm being told in my ear that everyone's okay. We would not be showing you the replay if everyone was not okay. Sarah Moore loses it first of all. No grip at this stage. And I warn you, this is nasty. That is absolutely horrific. That is a horrible accident.
You've got a lot of standing water a little bit higher pressure opens the grooves. Did that go round? Did the McLaren go round?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. That's Lando Norris. Eau Rouge and up to Raidillon. Lando Norris has had a big off.
There's a lot of standing water. He's now back in the line. Yeah, oh, I see it. It just started to wander into an oversteer, and he had to correct it, and it was the correction that actually took him into the barriers. Well, Lando says a bit of aquaplaning, but it didn't stop him going for it. But what it did, it just sort of moved into a bit of an oversteer, and as he corrected it, suddenly the front tyre bit, and he had a too much steering lock on at that moment, trying to correct the slide, and it just took a big left turn. And whilst that looks spectacular, the good news is that the energy's dissipated.
Oh, avec une voiture qui il y a un incident derrière. Ouais, avec un accrochage dans Kemmel, alors que Stuka est en train de passer à l'attaque et est en train de prendre la tête surtout sur James Wharton, nouveau champion leader.
It is one of the VAR cars. It is an almighty crash at one of the most infamous and dangerous corners in world motorsport. And the red flag is out again. This is what happened. Oh, that's a big one. Multiple cars involved in that. Bit on Barkdig. There's Spinner going on through.
Cabanillas, then Garfias in 10th. From Shin, Jonavsky, Diego Della Torre, down towards Eau Rouge, and they will climb up to Raidillon once again, and a spin through Eau Rouge. There goes the below. So I think that's Theodor Jensen who's gone off there at Eau Rouge. Ridiculously wet to go racing once more. Oh, are we going to see something we don't want to see? Oh, okay, we are. Oof. Well, fortunately, that looked relatively low speed.
Oh! And that's a Prema 13. That's James Wharton. Fastest in collective test 2 in the barrier. Coming out of Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Let's take a look at what happened. Oh, goodness me. The tyre coming loose, heading over Eau Rouge and Raidillon, just making contact with the barrier. But we'll take another look here at what happened. Just coming over the top of the crest, contact with the barrier, quite the impact. And credit to the safety, of course, of the way these cars are built. James Wharton as well hopping out of the car, which is great to see.